and baloney, kicking it like a rolling, chilling with my homies. Chicken wing, hot dog and baloney, kicking it like a rolling, chilling with my homies.
Okay, the worst arm wrestler in the world here on the other 98% podcast, and I'm here tonight with Danielle Llewellyn,
worthy of the worst,
who I found on Instagram, TikTok, and now Facebook. And I just want to, the first thing I want to touch on before we get into arm wrestling is you have some pretty badass videos out there of you powerlifting and doing some crazy things. Did you do that before arm wrestling?
Yeah, I did. Well, about 3 years ago, probably like February 2017, to get real specific. I was like, oh man, I did martial arts before and I stopped because, school happens, work happens. And then I reached a point where I was like, man, I'm not really in shape anymore. I should do something about it. So I always thought strength was really cool. So I decided I was going to buy a squat rack, a barbell, and a bench. And I stuck it in this basement. And I found Starting Strength on YouTube, found Juji Mufu and Alan Thrall, and
he comes up a lot.
Yeah, so that kind of just got me addicted to strength, because that just working with a barbell, putting 5-10 pounds on it a week got me real excited. And I always thought strongman was super cool, and especially picking up Atlas stones, that really appealed to me. So I met a friend, and she just so happened to do strongman, and she's like, well, I've got Atlas stones in my garage, come pick them up. And I'm like, oh my god,
that's awesome.
So I did, and I got hooked. Long story short, I found a gym in my area to do strongman. But yeah, that just kind of turned into an obsession with strength that just kind of started with, maybe I should get in shape, and now like full blown into like every day.
Right. And I saw you post like a before picture and after picture. Like you've been working hard, that's for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, I just in that same year, February, my first goal was just to like lose weight, like most people do when they start working out. And in about 6 months, I went from like 150 to I got down to 123 pounds. And I'm 5'8", so I was like real skinny. But then I was all skinny, and I was like, great, I got skinny, but now I want to be strong. So I'm back up to 150, but I've
all
never
muscle. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Now, how did you transition from that into arm wrestling?
So I mentioned I watched Juji, and he was getting into grip, and I thought that was cool. Now through my family, my dad especially, like he always had like Captains of Crush grippers, or like, doing challenges like, finger pull with someone's
right.
arm straightens out first. Like I didn't strength train. I didn't even know how to strength train, but like stuff in the hand was always kind of important, you could say, to us.
Right.
So Juji was fun to watch, especially when I just started getting into fitness, and then he was into it, and I was like, well, that's cool. So I bought from Iron Mind, I bought my own kind of set of grippers and a Rolling Thunder, and just acquired my own set of grip stuff. Well, it was like it was February 2019. Rogue put out a thing for the Arnolds called Rogue Record Breakers. They were coming out with an anvil, their own kind of to mimic like the cone shape of an anvil. Yep. And they wanted people to submit online videos to be able to actually go to the Arnold Classic in Ohio and compete. And I was like, well, hell, I'm going to do that. Well, my video was apparently good enough. I got an invitation, and I was like, woohoo. So
that's awesome.
Ended up going to the 2019 Arnold Classic. Now, because of Juji, I started getting into just being a fan of watching arm wrestling. Because he had Devin Larratt on his channel in January 2019. So I started following him. I started following WAL and social media and all that good stuff. Well, I was at the Arnold's, and arm wrestling got canceled. But I saw, since I followed Devin, I saw, well, we're going to pull out this bar, brothers, and we're going to keep the party going. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go there and get a fan photo and say hey and have my weekend. Cool.
That's cool.
So I show up at the bar day before competition, and it was just a smorgasbord of amazing arm wrestlers there. I mean, obviously there was Devin, Alexandra Asarova and her husband Alex, Schoolboy, Veronica Knight, Lucas Raymond, Tom and Juji, Joseph Drellick, Justin Major, Todd Hutchins, plenty other names that I'm
That's awesome.
so I just like all in this one place, and it's like, holy cow. So as Devin usually does during practices, he's at a table, people are lining up and pulling, and I'm like, you know what? I've never arm wrestled before. I'll use my left hand since the right one has to compete tomorrow. We'll have fun, whatever. Yeah. And it was immediately, I was hooked, like pun intended. It was like, how do I get into this sport? I just had the best time. Went back after the competition the next night, pulled all night. My arms were sore for 2 weeks after that because, I went from 0 to 100.
Right.
But I met just some incredible people there that helped me and taught me and helped me get connected with Wisconsin arm wrestling. So as soon as I got home, I contacted Lucas Raymond and I'm like, dude, I got to get a table. Like, Arm Assassins shop, shout out. And he was like, great. He made a table for me. I found a local team. This is a Milwaukee Mayhem, a great group of guys.
Nice.
And I just immediately, so it was March of this year, I got home and dove in, and I've been arm wrestling every week since. So yeah.
Lucas is a good dude.
Yeah, the Chalk Whisperer, because I knew him through Grip, so I like to meet. He was actually competing in the same event that I was, the Anvil, so it was kind of fun to like.
That's cool.
Boom, okay, and it was actually recognize each other. He's like, oh, I see you on Instagram, and I'm like, well, I learned how to chalk all my grip too, so hey.
That's cool. And there's video footage of you pulling with Devin, which is awesome.
Dude.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was I think that was that the recent one, NBK?
I think so.
In Vegas, I think.
Yeah,
that was
that's pretty cool.
Probably one of the most fun last minute decisions.
And then having him call you strong in a video, that's awesome, dude.
Come on.
You can't beat that.
Come on. And like oh my God.
So how old are you?
29.
29? And how long have you been doing arm wrestling now?
So just since March of this year. So I guess that's 9 months.
Yeah.
9 months.
That's awesome.
So pretty new.
Yeah.
Just immediately obsessed, but definitely, not even a yearling. So
that's great.
But
it seems like most people that try it for the first time get hooked hard. Like it's very addicting.
Totally. And I think it's like a strength activity you could do that's zero cardio.
Right.
It's beer and friends, but it's also martial arts, and it's great.
Yeah. I told my wife that I was starting arm wrestling, like just to get in shape, and she said, "You're the only person I know that would pick a sport that's just standing there to get in shape." I was like, "That's fine."
Well, I had an arm wrestling friend of mine come to my gym recently to learn how to deadlift, and he mostly just trains arm wrestling. That's about it. And my friend, she's a power lifter, successful one too. She's like, so you just arm wrestle? Like, how do you only train arm wrestling? And I'm like, no, it's a thing. But she's like, yeah, but like,
were you like, come with me, let me show you.
Have a physique, like I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like,
I know people don't realize how much training goes into arm wrestling.
Totally.
And how much work and the technique, and like there's a lot to it. It's like a chess game,
Oh yeah. I mean, I get sore abs after a heavy day.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So
That means you're doing it right.
exactly. Yeah, you got to use that obliques on the table.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's motivated me to like start getting in shape because I'm like, I don't want to arm wrestle these huge monsters. So I'm like,
Oh.
I need to cut weight to get down to the smaller guys.
Oh shoot, these weight classes are now.
Not that that matters because there's monsters down there too, you know.
It's true. Yeah, there's always there's big competition in every class, but you always know when you're in the open, you're in for it.
You're in trouble. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun though.
It's so much fun, and I feel like my social circle just like
Exploded.
instantly.
It's crazy.
And with cool people, like I usually small friend circle, and I feel like arm wrestling made me social as hell. Like, and it's like I'm enjoying it. Like and from people that are across the United States, and it's so cool.
Oh, it's crazy. Like once, like I just maxed out on Facebook. I can't even add any more people. I have like I keep going through and I'm like, who don't I talk to? I'll delete this guy. Yeah, because it's just crazy how many people in the arm wrestling community just reach out. You know.
Yeah.
And they're all super nice. Like there's maybe like a handful of people that are dirtbags, but the rest are all pretty cool. You know.
Exactly, and I feel like no matter what group of humans you pick, there's going to be like a percentage of suck.
Right.
But like arm wrestling has a small percentage of those people, because practice I've ever gone to, no matter where it is, I feel like I just walk in and it's just, you're accepted, let's learn, let's pull, have a good time, safe, learn, awesome. And like those guys that are usually, or girls, whatever, that are assholes, they tend to either not last long or people don't want them out.
Yeah, you just brush them aside.
And they're just like, don't pull that guy, he'll flash you, he's a dork.
And it's funny that you brought that up, because there are guys out there that just want to flash you, and like it's all about their ego. And
no sense.
most of us beginners, at least at Philly, we just avoid pulling with those people, you know.
You have to.
It's just like, what, I'm not gaining anything and he's not gaining anything, so what's the point?
Right. And I feel like those people too can never become the best, because they're also limiting how much they can learn. It's like, good for you. You can smash the bottom 80% and you'll never get better. Yeah.
Like if I'm arm wrestling with someone I know I can beat, I make them work to pin me, and I just kind of give them pressure and let them try to beat me. But you know, and guys that are better than me do that to me. So that's practice to me, not just trying to like win in practice. Like it's just weird.
Like no matter, I think almost no matter the gap between people, if they're willing to work together, you can still get a good workout in.
Oh, definitely.
So, like me, my training partner, his name is Tim Connors, and he's really strong guy, super strong. Like I can take two hands and go and not move him. But like we can work out and get a great workout. I'm the one working super hard, and he might be just laughing at me in a King's move, but it's a good workout being open like that and training a position take with someone that was his size.
Yeah, because he'll put himself in a losing position and try to get out of it. So you're both getting something out of it.
100%.
But some of these guys that just flash, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
why?
What is that proving in practice? You know,
like I hope you feel strong. Like
save it for the tournament.
100%. Yeah.
And you know, and I feel like some guys, it's like a cultural thing. Like a lot of Russians do that. You know what I mean? So I think they're just like, I don't think they're doing it intentionally, some of them, but I feel like maybe that's just like a cultural thing.
Right.
They're just brought up to like go full force.
What I tend to do in practices, especially if I haven't pulled somebody before, is like we'll square up, and I always, before we actually grab hands, I like to establish the rules first. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? Are you warmed up yet? Should we just pressure up? Do you want to ready go? And then I just kind of establish that first, because again, you know, just because of the way arm wrestling is, I'm often arm wrestling guys, which is totally great because they're stronger, which makes me better. But then I know, like, all right, are you just gonna flash me, or can we like pressure up and work with something here? So
Now,
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot more guys that arm wrestle than girls. So, what would you say to like a girl who's maybe thinking about arm wrestling but hasn't taken that step yet?
So usually when I try to get a girl on the table, their first thing that comes out of their mouths tends to be, "No, I'm afraid I'm going to hurt myself." And if I can just convince them, I often say, like I promise, no pinning. I'll just be like, no pinning. Let's just let me show you some tips, and then literally it'll just be pressure, and I'll just open, and it'll be, just have a nice time, and then they're like, oh, that was actually really fun. I just had a good time. So I have not figured out what the secret is to like market
Recruit.
this
Yeah.
to women yet.
Yeah.
I don't figure it out because I'd love to try to be an ambassador for that somehow.
Yeah.
If I can.
Dude, I mean, you're young, and most of the women that are still in arm wrestling are a little older than you
Right.
because they've been doing it for a long time. So
I'd love for girls to know that like you don't like lifting heavy or doing a strength sport does not make you bulky.
right.
Like
Yeah.
you like feminine and being feminine and having strength are not mutually exclusive. Like
Right.
that's whatever you want to do. I mean, like, man, look at Nancy Locke. What a powerhouse she is.
Yeah.
And like, what is she, like 120, 130 maybe? Like, amazing.
Right.
But yeah, or have you seen like I think it just about an hour ago, I think the arm bet update was posted where you've got like 20,000 dudes and 182
yeah.
girls on arm. Like, come on, guys.
I know.
It's funny.
I filled mine out like it's a dating app. Like I'm like, I like long walks on the beach, and I filled the whole thing out like that. And people comment and are always like, dude, what the hell? I'm like, come to Philly practice.
It's perfect.
Like it's like Grinder now.
It is a
Yeah.
goal.
A lot of dudes.
Oh, it's Grinder for arm wrestling at 100%. It's great. I'm kidding to anyone really watching. You should get. Come on, yeah.
Now, have you
hold hands with? It's great.
Yeah. Have you had any like grudge matches or super matches with anybody yet?
I've gotten a couple that are in my phone pending with people that I've invited to practices but haven't yet gotten an interaction with. They're just kind of local, and it's like saw my YouTube video pop up and they're like, hey, boom, and I'm like, okay, well, next practice is here, like show up.
I know a lot of people say they're going to come and then they just keep blowing it off for a while.
I actually only have one win on arm bet, and that one's against Devin Larrett. So go check out that video.
Yeah, dude. At the end of this, shout out your Instagram, your YouTube, all that.
Yeah.
See if we can get some people to follow you.
But no, I try to be an evangelical arm wrestler best I can. Usually set it up in my gym and kind of use it like bait. Like, who wants to bite? Come on up to the table. Come on.
When people find out that you arm wrestle, do they always want to try to arm wrestle you?
Yeah, that actually happened today at work. Yeah, someone was like, hey, I heard you arm wrestle, and I was like, yeah, and they're like, well, we should. I'm like,
let's go
okay, right now.
Yeah.
Here we go, let's do it right here. And they're like, right here? I'm like, yeah, why not? And then some people are listening and they're like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, here we go. So of course, when someone doesn't know anything about arm wrestling, I first go over like, here's how to not break your arm.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then I'm just like, okay, you go. And then I just kind of absorb and hold. And it was a guy, and I think he was a little surprised because I just held him. And then I took him over to my side of the table, and then till he got the idea, and then I just let go because I didn't want to stretch him out and have him be sore, whatever. But
that's awesome.
So
That's awesome. That's
But
the
then-
fun. That's the fun part of this sport.
Totally. I want people to come back.
Now, what do you do for like arm wrestling specific exercises when you're not like powerlifting or general workout?
Sure. So I do train every day. Strongman, powerlifting, grip, arm wrestling. I do something arm wrestling related every day. Now that might just be 10 minutes of taking my martial arts belt and doing with 10 pounds, like 50 reps of pronation,
Mhm.
supination, rising a couple times and calling it a day, and then doing whatever else I had planned.
Mhm.
But I usually plan one day a week that's arm wrestling related, that's heavy. So if that can be table time, I prefer it to be table time. When it can't though, that's when I'll go for like a max 3 with my Rolling Thunder on a cable machine and just like cup, get at like just inch of movement with the maximum weight I can get. Take my belt with like, if I can manage like a 45 and just get up, boom, just a little bit of rising, and do like those low rep, heavyweight kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As well as I'm not at the point yet where I can hold a one arm pull up, but I'll do them assisted with bands where I'll try to just lock out with one arm best I can, hold it for a long time. And that's the kind of stuff I would do on a heavy.
Yeah.
And yeah, heavy would be once a week, either that kind of stuff or table time. And then the 6 other days of the week is all rehab, kind of working the big 3: pronation, supination, rising. Okay, 4 and cupping, but just high rep.
That's good.
But something every day, because I'll even do it sometimes watching YouTube on my couch, just sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep a sledgehammer right near my couch.
Perfect.
My wife's always like, "Does that have to be in here?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Well, kind of.
It does.
Yeah. I throw it behind the couch.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. If people are coming over, I hide it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy though how many friends you make in this community.
I didn't think I had a problem with not having friends until I suddenly had them, and now I'm like, I never want to lose this. This is the best.
Oh, it's so cool.
The support is unreal. Like getting in the sport, whether you're good at it, bad at it, strong, not strong, wherever you are, like it's worth it to plug into the community.
Oh yeah.
Just have a goal. It's the best.
Oh, yeah. Like the few girls we have that come to Team Philly, if they hear like a new person or a new girl are coming, they make sure they're there.
Oh yeah.
So that they can pull and so she feels comfortable. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure that's a huge step, like being a female and you walk into a room and it's all dudes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So having a couple other females there probably makes it a little less, I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but
yeah, it helps. Well, for me, I'd say I've gotten used to just, I've gotten used to it. But what I really like about girls being there for myself is, when I'm pulling guys mostly, I know it's making me better and stronger, but it doesn't necessarily tell me how would I do in my weight class as a female. That
makes sense. Yeah.
No, because they're working with me, but like I can't really know. Like, okay, so if you were another person in my weight class, I'm at a tournament. How do I stack up?
Right.
I don't really know unless you're pulling people that are also could be potential or in your ballpark. So but there's also the fact that having girls there, I mean, just the more people you can get to like it, the hope that they'll tell somebody and then they might bring somebody and maybe they'll tell somebody and just grow it that way, that it's not it's fun and it's I don't know why there's a current gender on it, but like it's just fun.
It is.
Have fun. That's what it is. I'm like, come on, just arm wrestling is like hanging out. It's great.
Yeah, it really is, dude. Like our practice starts at 6:00.
Yeah.
And some of us, like there's a group of like 10 of us.
Yeah.
We don't leave till like 11. Like we're there all night just hanging out, making stupid videos and arm wrestling and
sober by then as well. Yeah. And it's Right.
Sometimes we order food, like we're just all just
Yeah.
hanging out for like hours and hours for no reason. But it's just fun, you know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
And I don't know if you've noticed this. Well, like a lot of times I'll arm wrestle someone and someone will be like, "Oh, was he strong?" And I'm like, "Yes," but like they try to like who is he compared to? But I feel like if I arm wrestle, say Paul Lynn,
Right.
who's very strong,
Right.
I can't tell the difference between him and Devin Larratt
Totally.
because they're both so strong that it doesn't feel different to me because they're just at that level that
Exactly.
you're arm wrestling a brick wall basically.
Yeah, it all feels the same.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Once they're at a certain strength, like and above, they're all the same to me. Like I'm not moving them, so it's like it's hard to gauge.
Yeah, there are people that are stronger than me, but I can still feel when you have something you could give or take, even if they're gonna win most of the time. And then there are people that are so strong that they don't want you to have anything.
Right.
Won't get it. And
And you
after that,
can feel it. Yeah.
I can't gauge you after that because it's all just immovable unless you let me.
Yeah, like we got a few guys at Philly that just always stay the same.
Right.
So like I don't know if you know Dave Shell, but he's like our guy. He's 69 years old, and he just is consistent, and he has unlimited stamina compared to anybody else. So at the end, like at the beginning of the night, everyone's beating him, but at the end of the night, he's beating everyone because he can still keep going.
Yeah.
So I always like use him as a gauge because he'll tell you like if you feel stronger or not. Because he always like he's just like a constant, steady arm wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, a lot of guys will arm wrestle with him to see how they're progressing.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Which is cool to have someone like that.
An honest opinion from someone who's arm wrestled so many people.
Yeah.
So
He's
valuable.
In our area, he's like the practice master. Like there's been weeks where he went to 10 practices in a week. I'm like, dude, my arm would fall off.
Oh my gosh.
And this guy's going to 10 practices and still arm wrestling. I'm like, I don't know how he does it.
That's so cool.
Crazy. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, in Vegas when I arm wrestled just 4 days in a row, I thought that there was a night that I didn't even sleep because my elbows were just like
yeah. It's almost like a toothache in your elbow. Yeah, that's the worst feeling.
We came back okay. I thought I was gonna be screwed for a long time, but actually I was actually okay. 3 days later I was pulling again, and like that's definitely a change because 9 months ago when I was started, you know, that was 2 weeks of pain, and now after 4 days in a row of just really going at it, I came home on Sunday and Wednesday I was good, pulling hard again. So I was like, all right, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just getting to that point where I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. You know, like I can start working out again. Like for me, it was very hard to balance table time, going to practice, and then working out between, and then table time again because I was too sore to do much.
Because even holding, like if you're gonna squat, holding a bar like this, right? If you're sore movement, and then trying to push up on a barbell here, you're like, oh my god. Or for an overhead press or a narrow bench. I've gotten to the point now, fortunately, where I do lift every day. So after heavy table time, I will avoid an overhead press or a clean movement. But usually I just keep those like 1 to 2 days away after heavy table time, and then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
That means like this, where I'm supporting weight here, or pressing from a close grip position. Those are the two things I still have to avoid 1 to 2 days after some heavy pulling. But aside from that, I've gotten to a point where it's okay. But when the first couple months were tough, though. They were tough.
Yeah. It's hard when you're a beginner because like someone will walk up and be like, oh, do this. And you're like, I've been doing that for 20 minutes. It's not working. He's too strong. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's easy to just walk up and see someone doing something and you're just like, do this. But if you can't physically do that, it's like, you know, you know what I mean?
I think it was Bob Brown who said one of the practices, with Devin.
Yeah.
Devin pulls a lot of people, so he's obviously used to being a good training partner. But Bob was like, no, pronate. And I was like, I grabbed my other wrist and I was like, this? Like, yes, I am trying. But
Yeah, exactly.
but those are tough fingers to bust through.
Yeah, I bet. That's crazy.
But yeah, now same thing. I'll be like, oh, make sure you don't open when you go down. It's like, well, I didn't want to open,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I'm wrong to move this individual.
Be like, get tight. I'm like, what do you think I'm trying to do here?
Like, I don't want to open.
Yeah.
Too strong.
It's so funny though. Like, I've brought this up before, but on the other hand, like sometimes I'll be arm wrestling someone, and someone will walk up and just make one little adjustment, and I was losing before, and after that adjustment, now I'm winning.
Oh yeah.
Just from one little adjustment of something I was doing wrong, and
100%.
it makes a huge difference, and that's what's
100%.
so fun about this.
Two things that come to mind that are like that for me right now was with regripping.
Mm-hmm.
So here, you stop someone, you're not getting any ground, and kind of shoving the elbow, getting behind your elbow with a little bit of kickback to regrip and pull it back in. That was like, and also, I know this seems so basic, but like when you lift and press, your elbow's always outside of your body. But just keeping this thing here has been like actually tough for me to remember, because I'm used to feeling strong here as opposed to trying to get things, again, get your body or your elbow inside of you. So yeah, basic stuff, but just those are less like little tips that really for me just instantly I'm always thinking about. So
like when I get someone in a hook, if all of a sudden I stop, like at first to regrip, I would like bend my wrist back and then come back in. And they're like, you're giving up ground when you do that. Or you're giving them an opportunity because I'm going back to straight. So now I've been getting used to not doing that and just kind of like adjusting my whole body rather than just my wrist, True.
Or it can be like, how do you decide to give up ground? Because if you're down here and you could be moving this way, or you could come up, say, and kick back a little to grab.
Without, and adjusting my body instead. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, where before I was just like bringing my wrist back and then trying to go a different angle. Yeah. And it took someone walking up and going, you just put your hand into a losing position for no reason. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, I did. So little things like that go a long way.
How did it took someone else to point something out, and once it's pointed out, you're like, man, that's so obvious. Like how come I couldn't figure that out? But thank you. Yeah. Or it seems obviously once you know, but I guess it's not.
Plus, like 50 different people tell you 50 different things, and you just have to find what works for you. Because obviously you're not going to arm wrestle like Devin, but like we got guys coming to practice that are like 5 feet tall, and they're like, I watched a Devin video and they're trying to do something that Devin does, and I'm like, that's never going to work. Like you're not built that way.
I mean, you look at how Todd Hutchins, Michael Todd, Devin Larratt, and how they all have different ways that they think is the best way to even just train something as simple as cupping, but I think there's something 100% true about everything that they're saying. So I think listen to it all, play with it all, find what works, because it's not like they're lying about what works for them. So there's going to be,
it just works for them.
So there's a good chance. So it's good advice, but just play with it, train it, figure it out, see what works. If it makes you stronger, then keep doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's great advice. And that's exactly why I want to have these conversations with newer people, because I feel like newer people trying to get into the sport are going to get more out of this than
Yeah.
watching like a top level dude do his exercises where this guy might not even be able to do those yet. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's cool to have these conversations where beginners can give other beginners advice and
Yeah.
talk about like the pains that we go through as new people.
And I think too, sometimes beginners can fall into the trap of comparing themselves to certain people and being like, what's a good weight for me to be picking up in a hammer curl? And
Right.
I'm like, those aren't really the questions that
Right.
that matter or tell you anything about the table. You know, go ahead, train a hammer curl. And I would say as long as you're going up in weight over time, AKA you're getting stronger,
Right.
that's what matters. Not,
Yeah.
well, so-and-so does 85 pounds and this person does this and they're ranked here and you're ranked here. Because, I mean, do we need to compare arm wrestlers' bench presses? Because they do not translate on the table. But
Yeah.
strong is strong. Just get stronger. That's it.
Yeah. And I've seen guys that can lift a hell of a lot of weight in the gym still get smoked by someone who's lifting half that weight because that guy knows how to apply it properly.
Yep.
So, you know,
I'd say just use the wonderful world of YouTube to learn as much as you can and how to apply it to yourself by just train.
Do you have any arm wrestlers that like kind of inspire you?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean the obvious would be what got me into the sport. Devin Larratt, but I don't know if you know who Veronica Knight is, but she's a arm wrestler in California, and she was one of the first women to help me get plugged into arm wrestling in Wisconsin, and we've kept a friendship ever since we met in March. And I really want to. I haven't pulled with her. It was literally my first day ever on a table, but we've kept up communication, and I really like watching her pull whenever I can see her post. Alexandra Asarova, she's just 150 pounds of, I don't understand how her wrist can be made of such iron. Like when I gripped up with her one time and I was like, you look at her and she looks small and you wouldn't assume, like she would just be a force. And it was like, just nothing, just absolute steel. I'm a fan of Ryan Bowen, Cobra Rhodes.
Yep.
I
love Ryan Bowen, and I feel like he gets picked on for.
He does get picked on.
That poor man, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's just doing his thing. Like leave him alone. He's making money. Like let him do it.
I feel like he just loves arm wrestling, and the things that he gets picked on for, are. Some people just like to be petty and find stuff to get buttered about sometimes, and then you get one response and
like people gave him crap about people gave him crap about like charging for his training thing with Lachlan Adair.
Oh, right.
And I checked it out. Like he gives you 3 days of exercises per week. And
oh wow.
He releases a video for every single exercise so you can see exactly what he's talking about.
Well, it's basically like almost like a coaching program that people would pay for to like powerlift.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And it's a whole month. And then the next, like every week it gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
And then then he does a whole other month and he charges like, I don't know, $20 a month or whatever it is. And but there's other guys that are doing that. They just don't advertise it. Like I know Coach Ray is doing it. Travis Bajent does stuff like that. So it's like, why are they picking on poor Ryan? You know what I mean? Like,
also, no one's forcing you to pay any money. So if you don't want, then don't.
Not to mention,
like, Ryan puts out
he's a good arm wrestler.
Channel that you can learn from. Like, use that.
and he's a good arm wrestler. Like most of the matches he has, he's the underdog, and he usually wins.
Totally.
So I mean, you can't knock him for that.
You can look at his arm wrestling history and see. I mean, he started I'd say like a smaller guy, and like he posts those like before and after photos here and there, and like
huge difference.
boom, look what he did with arm wrestling.
Yeah, in like 7 years, you know.
Yeah,
that's not really a long time in arm wrestling. And look at,
arm wrestling starts changing your physique quickly. I started in March, right? And it took in 4 months. Okay, so since I was already lifting and stuff, like, and you know, us vain gym people, we know what our measurements are. So I knew after 4 months, I had put an inch on my forearm, and I was like, how is this possible? I already trained grip and strongman. How was there an inch to blow up in 2 months? But the answer was the difference between this and this.
Right. Yep.
Totally different to the muscles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I've never really had biceps either, and I'm not saying there's much to show for them now, but at least they're visible. So thank you, arm wrestling.
In your before and after picture, there is a big difference. There's a difference.
So there's bicep was affected too. We're still growing. Gain train forever, but
I'll tell you. When I asked you to do this interview, you're the first person that ever was like, "Hell yeah!" And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Oh, that's great." Because most of the people I interview, I know them, so they're like, "Yeah, I'll do it." You know, like
friend. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I think it's going to be good to like spread out and start getting people in different states and just get, you know, different point of views from different areas of the country.
Well, I saw, the first time I saw you was actually when Ryan Bowen, he shared one of your TikToks where you were doing, you know, just
all the bands.
Yeah. I thought that was so hilarious. So that's when I started following you. And then as soon as you said that, I was like, boom, arm wrestling, hilarity.
That's awesome.
I'm in. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
And the same thing happened the other way. Like, I saw you powerlifting, and then all of a sudden I saw some arm wrestling, and I was like, oh, an arm wrestler.
Hey.
You know, and I was like, this is great. Any arm wrestler, like, I just add everybody, you know?
Yeah.
And it's fun.
I really like too how arm wrestle. So I don't find so much that the grip training I did necessarily translates into arm wrestling, maybe for some containment, but the arm wrestling has actually positively affected my grip training. And I think a couple things. Arm wrestling tab is so nice for the forearm recovery. And the thick bar lifts. So like usually say, here we go. Like with a Rolling Thunder, you according to, you know, arm lifting rules, you have to grip it with the thumb over, whereas us arm wrestlers, you know, would prefer to cup. But I found now my lifts are actually go up now with more of a wrist that's like this. So my thumb is over.
Basically doing nothing.
The thick bar lifts have actually gone up just because my wrist is so much more comfortable, stronger, bent over.
That's pretty cool that it has translated the opposite way, like to help you with your, that's awesome.
Yeah. So not necessarily with just squeezing, but recovery and definitely just the ability to just pick up like axles and stuff like that has increased, which is like sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what's your TikTok name and your Instagram name, like if people want to follow you or find you on Facebook?
Yeah, so Instagram, it's a little play on words. It's Healthrazor, which is like Hellraiser, but there's a TH after the hell, like health and Hellraiser. My TikTok is just my name, which is Danielle Llewellyn, Llewellyn. So feel free to find me there. I have a little baby YouTube channel too. That's just my name. It's not much out there yet, but hopefully someday we'll get some quality content out there. But
I'm sure you'll get some subscribers. I subscribe to it.
Same. So
I went with the worst arm wrestler in the world because I figured
it's great. You gotta
like
keep it.
If
No matter
I
what happens, especially become the best arm wrestler in the world, you have to stay the worst.
I know, yeah, absolutely. I'm not changing it because also like if I lose, that person lost to the. I mean, like if I win, that person lost to the worst arm wrestler in the world. But if I lose, it's like, duh.
Huh. Well, of course you did.
Yeah, I'm the worst arm wrestler in the world. So to me, it's a win-win no matter what.
You can't.
I can't lose. I can't lose either way.
When you set your expectations so low, no matter what, the result is positive.
You can't lose if you don't compete. Or win, for that matter. But I can't.
With arm wrestling, though, too, is like, when you go out there and put yourself out there and compete for the first time, like it really too kind of changes your own self-image and confidence and stuff like that. Like, what happens? And you're like, wow, I went out there, I put myself out there, competed, didn't die.
Yeah. Dude, like a year ago, I would have never made that rubber band video and put it out there like that because I was like, no, dude, I'm too fat and stupid.
Or whatever.
Yeah, now I'm just like, screw it. They already know I'm the fat guy. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just put it out there.
Because once you see yourself as like, because even if, let's just say you go out there, you compete and you get crushed, right? Well, like what % of people will even put themselves out there to compete? Like really small. So you're already part of a small percentage of people that are willing to even do something competitive. And that's, I don't know, it's cool. I think you should be proud of it.
Yeah, like that guy I was telling you about, the old guy, he's 69.
Yeah.
Dave Shell. He has like an entire like Excel spreadsheet of all his wins and losses. And he's like, I've only won like 5% of all my matches, but he doesn't care because he just loves doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's his whole social life is arm wrestling. And he just loves it. And he's just a cool dude,
That's when people ask me, they're like, man, like how do you work out every day or whatever? And I'm like, to me, it doesn't feel like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just going to do what I love. Like going to arm wrestling practice, I get excited. Like thinking about the gym, I'm like looking forward to it. Now, granted, I don't do any cardio, so that helps.
Yeah.
You'll have a much better time if you just take cardio and don't do it.
Do you do table time like once a week?
If I can do it, then once a week. And if I can't get a practice in with someone on a table, then I just make that a heavy day that's arm wrestling related. Gotcha. So, but yeah, if I can, I would love to make sure I get a practice in, like a solid heavy practice once a week is my preferred. Yeah, because that gives me the balance of great workout for the arm, but also not overdoing it so it affects.
Yeah. I feel like if I was doing 2 practices a week, I wouldn't be able to have heavy days in between.
No.
I'd just be too burnt out.
You're absolutely right. The way it works kind of nice for me is I'll usually do, like typically practice is on a Saturday. I feel like it's probably normal for most people. Yeah. And then Sunday is always my deadlift day. So I got a day. So right after I'm destroying my arm in this position, all I have to do is pick up something in this position. So it's like balance where I can have a day right after, but it really doesn't affect my arms at all.
Yeah.
And then usually by Monday, I'll do a powerlifting style bench. So my arms are way out here, doesn't bother my elbows at all. And by Tuesday, we're good to go.
Back to normal. That was the hard part in the beginning because like I'd go to practice and almost need a week off from anything heavy.
Yeah.
But then like, Thursday, Friday would roll around. I'm like, I got to do something. But then I'm like, then I'm useless at practice because our practices are on Tuesday. So it was like, it took me a long time to find that good balance.
100%.
Yeah. And then also not have the pain.
A safety squat bar, that can be your friend. Where you can just hold it right here.
Mm-hmm.
Because safety squat's the one that's got, so it's a bar, but it's got 2 handles coming down from your neck.
Yeah.
And then, so you can just keep your elbows in this nice, comfy position that you don't have to like wrench all the way back here. Right. Yeah. So if I like want to squat, but my elbows are barking at me, that's the one that saves me. So
that's smart.
Arm wrestlers can train legs sometimes if you want to.
Yeah. Not many do though, apparently. You got these big jacked guys just from the waist up.
Yep,
And
totally.
these little tiny legs.
But you know, hey, if it lets you be good at it, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My current goal is I'm gonna keep strongman and arm wrestling alongside each other.
Mm-hmm.
Until I feel like strongman competitively has probably a time limit, but I feel like arm wrestling doesn't.
Right.
So I know there'll be a point when either my body or maybe my own passion for at least competing in strongman will eventually be like, okay,
Right.
knees, back doesn't want to take this anymore. But arm wrestling is going to be there, and by then I'll be even more conditioned, and I can be doing that probably as long as I want to. So
yeah, that's a good plan.
yeah. I don't see any reason to stop, put it that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, dude, I totally appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're the first female that I've had on, so that's a huge deal.
All right.
Maybe now Sue Fisher, maybe she'll let me interview her after seeing me do. Yeah. If you have any other beginners out in your area that would come on, send them my way.
Awesome. I will absolutely do that.
Cool, man. And I'll send people your way too.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah.
No problem.
What you put together. I really appreciate you reaching out.
Dude, thank you. That was the most what's the word I'm looking for? Like just the way that you responded to me asking you, I was just like, oh my God. You were just like, hell yeah. And I'm like, man, I'm not used to that kind of response. Most of the guys are like, fine, I'll do it. You know, because I train with them every day. So
right.
But it was funny to see like someone that I haven't talked to like be excited to come on. I was like, well, this is different. Maybe I got to start interviewing people further away from me.
Do it. Because I mean, I think, has your TikTok blown up yet? Because if it hasn't, it's gonna.
Not really.
You keep that content going out, like it's gonna catch. Like I'm
I
sure
mostly just put the like me being a fool on TikTok. You know what I mean? And then
I think I'm doing that.
Every now and then when I have enough like silly videos, I'll condense all of them into one YouTube video and then put that out there.
Oh yeah.
But these interviews, I've done like maybe 8 or 9 now, and it's just fun. Totally. It started out like an interview where I was asking questions to get an answer, but it has evolved into like just a conversation.
Yeah.
So it's like more like a podcast now where we're just talking about arm wrestling.
Which, I mean, I feel like in my normal life, like going to work and stuff, like all I think about and want to talk about is getting stronger in arm wrestling. But like normal people, they don't want.
Yeah. You can't talk about it with them.
This is like-minded people. They also just want to talk arm wrestling. Yes.
Yeah. That's why we stay so late on Tuesdays, because it's like we just talk arm wrestling. So
totally.
It's just crazy, It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll put your information and some links to you.
Perfect.
In the bottom of this, so people can go find you and see what we're talking about.
Awesome. Yeah. As soon as this gets posted, I'll blast it wherever I got social media. So
I appreciate it. All right. You have a good night. Thank you so much.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
Bye.
Kicking